Madam Chairman, my apologies for being late and then being in and out. We had some armed services meetings and some interviews with nominees and voting, so back and forth. Welcome, Mr. Vought. Nice to have you here. Is that you? No.
I can't tell. It's been all hearing.
As a senator who's on appropriation and also on the authorizing committee of armed services, I can attest that the budget justification documents that provide us with the granular program level information, they are immensely important to building these annual bills. Congress has been waiting over 4 months for the department's budget justification books. Fiscal year 2026, it starts in just 3 months. The budget information provided to Congress for the Department of Defense, sir, which accounts for over half of all discretionary spending. So far, that amounts to just a table of contents. It is not helpful. These delays by OMB have impeded our work on our annual bills and complicated our ability to deliver timely funding for fiscal year 2026. Going forward, I hope that you and your team will work with us and communicate more clearly so that we can work together, so that we can get the information needed from you and so that we can work on our responsibilities and better serve the American people. I look forward to doing that.
Absolutely, Senator. We are working very diligently to clear as many congressional justifications as we possibly can. I get a daily update on this right now. I assure you it's not all OMB. We are working expeditiously to get this thing up to you as much as we possibly can.
Great, because we're going to be starting our NDAA work on armed services very, very soon, and it would be helpful as an authorizing committee to be able to have information. Now I'm also going to talk to you about rural radio and the emergency alerts that we get on that. You've heard from a number of my colleagues about the issues they have on the emergency alerts, on the tribal needs that many of us have in our states with that. But I am very concerned also about the emergency alerts that come to many places in Nebraska only through that rural radio. We're a state of vastness, very sparsely populated areas that don't receive cell service in many cases. It's difficult even with landlines in many areas of my state. Would you also commit to working with me to figure out if we are going to need some replacements for this so that all Americans, no matter where they live, will be able to have access to these alerts? I know you committed to work on the tribal issues, but I am also concerned about emergency alerts.
Absolutely, Senator.
Thank you, sir. I would hope that we can figure out who's going to carry out those responsibilities if these stations end up being shuttered. As the administration decided on the proposed rescissions, can you walk us through OMB's consultations with the State Department and also with the Department of Defense, specifically on preventing China, which this administration rightly considers our pacing threat from exploiting any gaps that may occur due to those rescissions? How did you do it?
Thank you for the question, Senator. We worked in close collaboration with the State Department on this, with the Department of Government Efficiency. Originally, this was pure waste, fraud, and abuse, with basically no policy reductions. Where you see the policy reductions are in things like World Health Organization, some of the international organizations that we fund that are both voluntary and assessed. And so whatever you see is, the example is we have over an annualized basis, we've identified waste and abuse and things that are actively harming our foreign policy. This would do nothing to impact our ability to respond to our adversaries.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, I would just ask for one more question. Thank you. I believe that we need to have constructive reorganization of our federal agencies. I believe that we must have good stewardship of taxpayer dollars. However, I have had outreach from a number of Nebraska law enforcement about a proposed transfer of the HIDA funding to the Justice Department. And they're concerned that a transfer of those funds would undermine their very important efforts that they use those funds for with drug task force and their regional task forces to counter that drug trafficking. I've seen firsthand how important this funding is, especially in the panhandle of Nebraska. Have you consulted with any state or local law enforcement about that recommendation from OMB, and have you heard concerns from constituents like mine?
Senator, we have not heard concerns. I can go back and double check, and to the extent to which we had stakeholder involvement as we crafted that budget. Again, it's a shift to a department that does grant making. And so we've had a long concern to the extent to which the EOP is in the grant-making business, that it probably doesn't have the skills to do that. So we don't really view this as in any way reducing our support for law enforcement at all. That's a common theme throughout our budget. But I will go back and check on our stakeholder engagement on that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Ossoff.